The saltwater crocodile is one of the top apex predators with the most powerful bite force in the world. Combining that with its infamous death roll after it latches onto its prey makes it a bona fide killing machine. Unfortunately, a family camping next to the beach in Australia found this out the hard way. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is the terrifying saltwater crocodile attack on the Kerr family. Welcome to Final Affliction. Today's story takes place in Cape York, Australia. It highlights the tremendous power of motherly instincts and how a mother is willing to sacrifice everything and leap headfirst into danger to protect the one she loves, namely her children. The Cape York Peninsula is a large peninsula located in far north Queensland, Australia. It's renowned for its unspoiled wilderness and abundance of natural beauty, with over 700 different land vertebrate species, including birds, bats, kangaroos, rodents, and reptiles like the freshwater crocodile or its gigantic terrifying cousin, the saltwater crocodile. The deadly saltwater crocodile is the largest living reptile. Full-grown males sometimes reach around 6 meters in length and weigh between 1,000 and 1,300 kilograms. The saltwater crocodile is mostly crepuscular, meaning it's most active during twilight hours. It likes to spend its days lounging in the water and basking in the sun, waiting for nightfall so it can go on the hunt. Although they're relatively sluggish, saltwater crocodiles can be agile predators and show surprising agility and speed when necessary, usually when ambushing prey. Typically, when cruising, they travel at 3 to 5 kilometers an hour, or 2 to 3 miles per hour. Also similar to others in the crocodilian family, saltwater crocodiles do not have a specific food preference and will eat whatever is available to them. Of all the crocodilians, the saltwater crocodile is notorious for its extreme aggression and sometimes unprovoked attacks on humans. This species does indeed have a long history of attacking humans who likely, while unaware, venture into its territory. Direct contact with the saltwater crocodile is likely fatal, almost certainly so if the predator manages to clamp down on its victim with its powerful jaws. The only recommended policy for dealing with saltwater crocodiles is to avoid their habitat when possible. To state that they are extremely aggressive when approached would be an understatement. It's also worth mentioning that a total of 106 people were killed by saltwater crocodiles in Australia from 1971 to 2013. On October 11, 2004, the Kerr family was spending the evening at the remote camp situated almost 40 meters from the shoreline of Bathurst Bay. Bathurst Bay was a popular tourist destination in northern Queensland near the Great Barrier Reef. Alicia Sorohan, along with her son Andrew and his family, who were all first-timers, had been camping here for the past 6 to 7 years. Her husband Bill usually came with them too. The family went on a fishing trip to the beach. Later that day, they pitched their tents next to each other for convenience. Before going to sleep, Andrew gazed upon the beautiful night sky with his wife Diane and 4-month-old son Kelly. Because they were 30 to 40 meters away from the beach, they thought it would be quite a safe place. Little did they know about the horror that was about to come. At approximately 4 a.m., a 4.5-meter saltwater crocodile came ashore after hunting along the coast. It's unclear whether the cold-blooded beast was looking for food or protecting its territory, but what is certain is that it had no regard for the humans who were now fast asleep in their tents. As it approached, what sounded like loud grunting noises and the rustling of leaves alerted Diane, who put aside 4-month-old Kelly and leaped up to see where the noise was coming from. At first, she thought it could have been a pig, a dingo, or maybe even a wild bull. She heard the sounds of something getting closer to their campsite, and it sounded big. As Diane stared through the mosquito netting, the shadowy outline of an immense crocodile materialized just a few feet away, gazing back at her through their tent flap. Diana quickly turned to Andrew and woke him up, shouting, "There's a croc, Andrew!" Andrew leaped up and crept outside of their tent to assess the danger, but as soon as he did, the menacing and cold green eyes of the crocodile, who was now right next to Andrew, greeted him. Andrew froze solid for a second in complete fear, and before he could figure out what to do, the beast lunged at him. The croc charged into their tent, tearing the bug netting with its teeth and grabbing Andrew by the hips. Andrew was terrified and likely in an enormous amount of pain as the croc's sharp teeth tore through flesh while its powerful jaws crushed bones and dragged him towards the water. This is a common hunting behavior for crocodiles. They try to take their prey underwater, where they can finish them off without disturbance. The saltwater crocodile reigns supreme among all other predatory species by possessing the strongest bite in the animal kingdom, far outclassing that of even the ferocious bull shark or the terrifying hippo. It can clamp down on prey with a devastating force that is estimated at about 3,700 pounds per square inch. That's more than 4 times the amount of force required to shatter a human femur bone, the strongest bone in the human body. Despite what Andrew was going through, his first thoughts were of the safety of 4-month-old Kelly. "Grab the baby D," he shouted. His blood-curdling screams woke up everyone in earshot. Alicia Sorohan was jolted awake by her son's screams coming from the next tent over. Bill ran to the side of the tent, looking for an axe. Her sons had weapons with them as they were hunting pigs. She pointed her flashlight to where the noise was coming from, and witnessed in horror as Andrew was fighting for his life as the croc viciously shook his head and continued dragging him away. Her 61-year-old body may have been frail, but a mother's will and determination to protect her children are unshakable. She fearlessly ran towards the crocodile, leaping onto its head and gouging at its eyes. The croc spun around in an attempt to get away from her, but hit her, striking her down in the process and breaking both her nose and jaw. The beast let go of Andrew, who quickly made a run for it, and shifted his gaze onto Alicia, who now lay badly injured and incapacitated. The crocodile latched its teeth onto her arm and started tearing it apart, lacerating skin and mangling flesh and bone, all while once again attempting to drag his victim into the water. Her other son, Jason, who luckily had a gun close by, put his knee on the croc's head and began unloading on the vicious animal. It took 4 good shots to the head before the crocodile finally stopped moving. When all the dust settled, Andrew was lying with a broken right leg and left arm. He also had multiple puncture wounds on his arm and lower half. Needless to say, it was quite a shock for everyone when they saw him, especially considering he was less than a meter away from the crocodile who did it. Alicia was bleeding quite heavily, so her husband Bill and one of the other guys decided to put her into a Land Cruiser and drive her to the nearest place where a rescue chopper could pick her up from. The closest location happened to be a runway at Kelpawar Crossing, which was about 7 hours away by car. Despite having several broken bones, Andrew wasn't mortally injured, so the decision was made to leave him where he was while they took his mother to get help. He was helped by a first aid officer from a quarantine team who arrived via helicopter. His condition was stabilized after receiving the necessary first aid. His mother, however, wasn't faring as well. A crocodile's mouth is teeming with bacteria. The bacteria enter the crocodile's system through either the food it eats or the water in which it lives. The initial trauma of a crocodile bite is often fatal due to the creature's 60 teeth and crushing jaw power. However, some victims survive only to become infected with diseases that then lead to death or amputation. To make matters even worse, Alicia was old, meaning her immune system and resistance to infection may not be on par with her son's. Nonetheless, after patching her up and administering heavy doses of antibiotics, doctors were finally able to stabilize her condition. A few days after being admitted to Cairns Hospital, she was reported to be doing well and was discharged. I did what I had to do. He needed help and I was there, so I jumped on the croc and that was it. Andrew had feared the worst. Once it had my leg, I thought I was going to die. I thought this is it. Alicia Sorohan tragically passed away in May 2020. Until her final moments, she maintained that any mother would have done what she did to defend her son and grandson. "I'm no hero," she said repeatedly. While the family's survival is credited in no small part to the bravery of everyone involved, don't let their story fool you into thinking an encounter with this terrifying reptilian species is anything but a guaranteed one-way ticket to the afterlife. The average male saltwater crocodile measures about 5.5 meters in length, but the crocodile which terrorized the cur family, on the other hand, was only 4.5 meters in length. The weight of the crocodile increases cubically as length increases, meaning actual crocodiles that are 5.5 meters long would weigh more than twice as much and be much more powerful and dangerous than the crocodile in our story, who likely hadn't even reached full maturity. We must be mindful when we enter the wilderness where wild animals live, as it's their home before ours, so let us tread lightly, observe carefully, and leave nothing but footprints behind. Nature doesn't always take kindly to outsiders, as the cur family learned the hard way, so stay within safe boundaries, take all necessary precautions, and always come prepared, because if you don't, you may just end up as another victim of nature's cruelty, your consciousness slipping away as you're plagued with your final affliction.